Ever wonder which animal is most likely to eat a human? You guessed it, monster-sized crocodiles. At least that's what their yearbooks would say. These giants typically measure around 17 feet long and weigh about 1,000 pounds, but it's not unusual to find some reaching a staggering 23 feet in length and tipping the scales at 2,200 pounds. Yikes! From a lawnmower-stealing croc with a bad attitude to a megacroc discovered in Australia, here are the 20 largest crocodiles in the world. Number 20. North Queensland Monster Crocodile. There are a lot of crocodiles in Australia, and they're much the same, big toothy grins, unsavory habits of eating you if you get too close. There are frequent sightings of crocodiles all across Australia's northern territories, with hundreds of croc-related authorities every year. Now, citizens are constantly warned to be cautious around any place where there's water. So it is almost surprising that every once in a while, a crocodile comes along that makes even the tough, cocky Aussies take a step back and quake with just a little wobble of fear. This is one such beast spotted in North Queensland. The so-called monster of a crocodile gave this fisherman a shock when he saw just how big it was. "Got right up to me, mate," Richard Gilmore said. Gilmore was out and about in his boat in the waters off the coast of Port Douglas, a town in Queensland, when the crocodile began to head towards him. That massive reptile just casually swims in the direction of Gilmore, seems to check him out, before deciding that there was nothing doing and nonchalantly swims off in the other direction. Now, it's always a hairy moment when a crocodile shows interest in you and your flimsy human meat body, Number 19. Brutus. The Yankees and the Red Sox, the All Blacks and the Springboks, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, all manner of rivals. And when they come head-to-head, there's always a showdown. But did you know that even in nature, there are big sporting rivalries? Two massive crocodiles have been vying for the attention of tourists along the Ord River in Australia's Northern Territory. One of those massive animals is Brutus. He's an 80-year-old, 2-ton monster croc that's known for his impressive giant leaps from the water. The Colossus has some pedigree in this area and is literally famous for his antics. Well, that and his missing right foreleg that he lost in a fight with a shark. That's right, Brutus is not a beast to mess with. Now, he may be entertaining when he jumps out of the river, but he could still kill you with a swipe of his tail. It turns out that this is actually part of a rivalry that Brutus has with another nearby neighbor, a saltwater crocodile who goes by the name of Dominator. This trick of performing high leaps for tour boat crowds is one that Brutus first made fashionable a few years back. And not to be outdone, Dominator has got in on the action as well, with a jumping style that's giving Brutus a run for his money. Turns out that wherever there are guys, even if they're scaly reptiles, there's always going to be a pissing contest. That's just a fact of life. Number 18. Massive crocodile chases swimmer in Mexico. Well, this is all less than ideal, to say the very least. Taking a swim in the waters at a wildlife refuge on the Caribbean coast of Mexico, this guy was lucky to escape with his life when a large crocodile took an unsolicited interest in him. The man appears to notice the crocodile as it begins to head towards him at quite a rapid pace. Now, don't be alarmed. Crocodiles can actually swim at around 15 to close to 20 miles per hour. That may not sound incredibly fast, but Michael Phelps's fastest 100-meter swim was 48 seconds, and that itself works out to only about 4.65 miles per hour. So if you're relying on outswimming a crocodile, you may actually be in trouble. The other thing you probably already know is that when a crocodile reaches dry land, it can still run at around 8.5 miles per hour. But this, mercifully, is much slower than a human. Apparently, a human being that's running for their life can run at about 12 miles per hour. So at least he should be able to outrun the crocodile when he hits the beach, provided he has any adrenaline left, that is. Number 17. Giant crocodile of Western Australia. Australia seems to be chock full of enormous crocodiles. Would you just look at the size of this fatty? He's absolutely massive. These fishermen were out on the Ord River in Western Australia when they encountered an ancient creature. He was apparently just lazing about on the riverbank, warming himself in the sun, when these noisy guys clambered by in their boat and rudely disturbed his daydreaming. The crocodile understandably takes umbrage with this sort of nonsense and immediately comes alive, spinning around and plunging into the water. Known to the locals as Big Macs, this particular croc has been spotted several times over the years, each sighting more terrifying than the last. Estimates suggest that he measures close to 20 feet in length, making him a contender for one of the largest crocodiles in the region. The fisherman later recounted that the boat rocked violently as the massive creature disappeared into the murky depths, leaving a trail of swirling water in his wake. Crocodiles like this one are apex predators, capable of taking down almost any creature that strays too close to their domain, including cattle along the riverbanks. He makes a menacing gesture as though he might leap towards the fisherman, and they beat a rapid retreat. There's a tale about the size of a near miss that they have actual evidence for when they tell their big fish stories. Number 16. Elvis the crocodile. Elvis the crocodile is one of the most famous reptiles in the world, well known in Australia for his cheeky shenanigans in his home at the Australian Reptile Park. The 15-foot-long crocodile is now 55 years old and celebrated his birthday by eating the whole leg of a cow, as one does, of course. His 1,100-pound frame really does need rather large dinners in order to keep him in good health. But even so, this was a Goliath-sized meal even by Elvis's standards. I wonder if he has a penchant for peanut butter, bacon, and banana sandwiches as well. This naughty reptile caught the public's attention when, back in 2011, he stole his keeper's lawn mower. He was then given the title of Australia's crankiest crocodile, and people just couldn't get enough of his videos and his antics. He's a big chap, but at 55 he's really only reaching middle age because crocodiles can and do regularly live to a full century. So he's got plenty of years of kingly behavior left in him, after all. Now it's time for today's topic. Scientists recently unearthed a fossil that has sent shockwaves through the paleontology community, the remains of the largest crocodile to have ever walked the earth. Named Deinosuchus rex, this prehistoric giant lived approximately 75 million years ago and measured an astonishing 40 feet in length, dwarfing any modern crocodile. To put its size into perspective, this monster could swallow a fully grown human whole, much like eating a grape. The fossilized remains were found in the swamps of what is now northern Africa, a region once teeming with life during the Cretaceous period. Deinosuchus rex had bone-crushing jaws, with teeth measuring over 6 inches long. Scientists believe its bite force exceeded that of a T-Rex, making it one of the apex predators of its time, capable of taking down dinosaurs and other massive prey. The photo accompanying this discovery is a digital rendering to visualize its immense size compared to humans, standing next to it for scale. While it's a terrifying glimpse into the past, it also raises questions about what other secrets the Earth still holds. Could creatures like this have inspired ancient myths of giant reptilian gods? Or worse, could something this massive still be lurking in unexplored waters today? Number 15. Big crocodile found in the river. Really? A big crocodile was found in a river? Quick, call the police or perhaps the fire brigade or even the army. This just won't do. Here we are with some rather exciting drone footage of a big fat croc hanging out in a river in an undisclosed location. That information has to be kept top secret, you know. With this bird's eye view, we do have a rather splendid opportunity to really appreciate the way that this animal moves. In the more shallow waters, it's possible to see the way that this big crocodile paddles its legs and uses its huge powerful tail to move silently along. They really are amazing animals and are certainly quite fascinating to see. It's not often that you get the opportunity to observe a crocodile going about its business in such a way, and that's something worth watching as long as you're at a nice safe distance, preferably behind a computer screen with a cup of tea and your pet guinea pig Twinkle just like me. That's the way to enjoy a crocodile for sure. Number 14. Lake Chamo, Ethiopia, huge crocodile. And here we have an example of one of those massive Nile crocodiles in action. Well, action might not exactly be the right word. This one's just sort of laying there now, isn't it? However, it is massive, though. This is some footage that would be taken from a tourist boat on Lake Chamo in Ethiopia. Lake Chamo is the largest freshwater lake in Ethiopia, just south of Addis Ababa. It spans 18 miles in length and 9 miles across, so that leaves plenty of space for wildlife, especially crocodiles. This is one of the best places to see that old naughty Nile croc, as literally hundreds of them are living there. These crocodiles can grow to over 20 feet in length and weigh up to a ton, making them among the largest of their species in the world. The lake is also home to an event called the Crocodile Market, a name given to certain areas where dozens of these massive reptiles gather at once, creating an unforgettable spectacle for visitors. Interestingly, these crocs have adapted to coexist with the local hippos, although territorial disputes can sometimes result in dramatic encounters. Despite their fearsome reputation, the Nile crocodiles play a crucial role in the ecosystem by controlling fish populations and scavenging dead animals. They're generally found lounging, like this big old fatty, on the banks of the lake, or even lurking beneath the surface by the edges, just waiting for some poor unsuspecting creature to succumb to their thirst and dare to take a drink. Number 13. Tai croc. Another crocodile, another day in the Philippines. These pesky reptiles are just up to no good all over the show over there now, aren't they? This time, a rather large creature, some say bigger than a car, wandered into a town in Tai province and gave everyone quite the fright. The 17-foot-long monster croc was just another in a series of sizable ones that had found their way to this spot in recent times. It was becoming rather an epidemic of wrong-place reptiles, and nobody wants that now, do they? And so here we go again, where they've named this naughty crocodile David. Seems entirely inappropriate for a creature of such Goliath proportions. And then they set about the usual procedure of tying up the animal, scolding it for being such a naughty croc, packing up its suitcase, and then shipping it off to the nearest furthest point possible, with its tail between its legs or something like that anyways. No doubt to a rousing chorus of, "See you later, alligator." In a while, crocodile. Number 12. Okavango Delta crocodile. The Okavango Panhandle is part of the delta that reaches across northwest Botswana. It's home to a massive and diverse range of African animals, and that's why it's recently been named a World Heritage Site. One of the creatures that calls this place home is the colossal Nile crocodile. The Nile crocodile is a very big reptile indeed. These guys can reach an imposing 20 feet long, weighing up to 1,650 pounds. So it's no wonder that the sight of a big old Nile croc is enough to send most other living creatures running for the hills. Widespread across sub-Saharan Africa, these reptiles can be found in 26 countries, mostly hanging out in swamps, rivers, and marshes. Usually pretty solitary beasts, these crocodiles do sometimes, however, get together in groups. And apparently, there's a different word for those depending on whether they're on land or in the water. A group that is in the water is called a float, but on land, it's called a basque. And no matter how you choose to name them or categorize them, I'm pretty sure that they're both equally dangerous. Like Captain Hook's nemesis, the Nile crocodile will eat almost anything, although they're probably not too keen on eating a clock, and they have a reputation as a man-eater, with an estimated 200 human deaths attributed to the jaws of Nile crocs every year. Number 11. One-time crocodile named Tripod. Here we are with Matt Wright again. Remember that guy who spotted the massive croc when he was fishing out of his helicopter? Yeah, hard to forget a guy who makes that sort of impression now, isn't it? This time, we're with Matt while he takes his life into his own hands and feeds an enormous crocodile who apparently goes by the hilarious name of Tripod. I mean, he only has 3 legs, but it is a funny name anyway, isn't it? Matt goes on to tell us that this colossal creature is really old. He reckons that he's between 80 to 90 years old and is also incredibly powerful. As Matt dangles the leg of a dead animal in front of the reptile, he teases it a little bit by walloping it in the face, as one does, and the crocodile snaps its jaws in response. The sound its jaws make is alarming, to say the least. There's so much power in that bite. It's the crocodile's mighty jaws that really make this animal so formidable. Their bite force is 8 times more powerful than that of a great white shark, and the crocodile is really good at closing its jaws. Weirdly, their muscles for opening their mighty mouth are actually feeble in comparison. And so, that one deadly snap is all that it really takes. Number 10. The Kimberley Washington Monster Croc. In a standoff between a saltwater crocodile and a shark, the thing is that size really is everything. Salties, as these crocodiles are known, can grow to some colossal lengths, and frankly, most creatures would be daft to try and engage with one, let alone go on the offensive. Some footage was captured by a camera drone, which shows a huge saltwater crocodile swimming across murky waters. When there was a brief moment's encounter with a bull shark, it really did appear as though the shark took one look at the croc and thought better of it, then took itself off in the opposite direction, giving the reptile a very wide berth indeed. And that was definitely the most sensible option. Not only was the crocodile 3 times the size of the shark, but these creatures have some pretty deadly moves that they can pull on any sort of prey, even when that prey is usually considered to be the top predator itself. In fact, saltwater crocodiles are known to take on even larger prey like water buffalo, demonstrating their incredible power and adaptability. Their bite force is among the strongest of any animal on Earth, capable of crushing bones with ease, which would leave even the most confident shark second-guessing its choices. Moreover, salties have a reputation for their incredible patience, often lying in wait for hours before launching an explosive attack. They're also capable of short bursts of surprising speed in the water, closing the gap between themselves and potential prey in mere seconds. Combined with their heavily armored bodies, saltwater crocodiles are virtually unstoppable apex predators in their habitats. Yes, salties have a signature murder move known as the death roll, which they'll use on large prey. They'll even drown their victim, then roll it around in the water to remove any annoying limbs from the body, thus making it easier to eat. Delicious. Number 9. Cassius, world's largest crocodile in captivity, Green Island, Australia. So, what kind of vital statistics does the world's largest captive crocodile have? He must be a behemoth. Cassius, the colossal croc in question, is indeed rather large. He's an Australian saltwater crocodile measuring 17 feet 11 and 3/4 inches long, which is quite hefty by anyone's standards. Currently found living in the Australian Wildlife Zoo on Green Island, he's believed to be the largest crocodile that's ever been captured alive in all of Australia. He was captured in 1987 and then transported over 1,988 miles from Australia's Northern Territory to the park at Green Island, where he has stayed ever since. Before his capture, Cassius was notorious for terrorizing local fishing boats and allegedly attacking livestock, which made him quite the menace to the community. It took an enormous team effort to subdue and transport the giant reptile, requiring specialized equipment and plenty of nerves of steel. At the wildlife park, Cassius enjoys a life of relative luxury, with caretakers feeding him large portions of chicken, fish, and the occasional wild boar. Despite his fearsome reputation, he has become a favored attraction, drawing visitors from around the globe who marvel at his sheer size and presence. As well as being enormous, he's also an ancient beast, and it's thought that Cassius is actually around 100 years old. He may well have eaten a few humans in his lifetime, so let's hope he's got over that phase by now, where a day out at the zoo could get rather unpleasant. Number 8. Yai the crocodile. So, it turns out that in the world of captive crocodiles, there's quite a competitive spirit. It seems as though everyone wants their massive crocodile to be crowned the most massive one, and they spend rather a lot of time messing about with measurements and making bold and lofty claims about their enormous sizes on the internet. Yes, here we go again with yet another contender for the largest crocodile in captivity. This time, it's a chap named Yai who's apparently a hybrid croc that's made out of a bunch of stuff. He lives on a crocodile farm and zoo in Thailand. Handlers there have measured the monster croc at between 5.8 and 6 meters long. That's 18 feet and 19.5 feet in old money. But apparently, different sources have different sizes, and that's the trouble now, isn't it? If you want to boast about having the biggest crocodile, then you really do need to measure it properly. Otherwise, nobody's going to take your claims seriously, least of all any official measuring types like our old friends at the Guinness Book of World Records. They really do enjoy a proper and well-executed measuring session. No estimates or approximations there, thank you. But I guess someone is just going to have to risk it and get the ruler out. I'm sure if you ask nicely, Yai will let you measure him. Number 7. 200-kilogram crocodile lives with Indonesian family. In West Java, Indonesia, a family lives with a very unusual animal in their backyard. Kojak is a crocodile, and he's certainly no miniature. He weighs a chunky 200 kilograms and measures about 6 feet long. He was rescued from certain death when he was just 30 centimeters, but the crocodile just kept on growing. His owner, Erwin, is pretty relaxed about the giant reptile in his garden. He's shared his home with Kojak for the past 20 years, and his children have grown up playing beside the massive croc. Kojak is fed a diet of fresh fish and even has a pool in the yard to cool off in. Erwin brushes the crocodile's teeth every week in order to keep that trademark crocodile grin minty fresh. And although Kojak is mostly not an apparent danger to the people he shares a home with, cats are quite a different matter. Word of warning, if you live next door to this crocodile-loving crew, don't let your cat go playing in their yard. Kojak, well, he's been known to use those pearly white teeth to munch on the odd passing kitty. Meouch. Number 6. Giant crocodile of Sri Lanka. Weighing in at close to 1 ton and measuring about 17 feet long, this gigantic crocodile is one of the largest ever witnessed in Sri Lanka. So it would be a bit of a surprise when it turned up in the middle of the city of Madura in the south of the country. I expect the crocodile was almost as surprised as the people when it got stuck in a canal. He only went out to look for some dinner and wound up having quite the adventure. The big beast had likely been looking for food when heavy rains caused the water levels in the canals to rise, and then left this crocodile stuck in the canal in the middle of town. Authorities were called in, and they used an excavator to extract the stuck creature from its predicament and then popped it onto a truck and returned it to the river. The rescue operation quickly became a local spectacle, with crowds gathering to watch the enormous reptile being carefully lifted out of its watery trap. Onlookers snapped photos and videos, with many marveling at the sheer size of the crocodile and its calm demeanor during the entire ordeal. Wildlife officials noted that such encounters are becoming more frequent as human settlements expand closer to natural crocodile habitats. Some experts suggested tagging and monitoring the crocodile to better understand its movements and behavior to avoid similar incidents in the future. I just wonder if they asked him where he lived before they unceremoniously just plopped him back in whatever shady backwater they first happened upon. Seems that all these lost crocs might simply be the victims of unsuitable relocation programs, and they're all just trying to get home again. Number 5. 1,300-pound monster crocodile in Australia. How are you doing? Are you hanging in there with all this scaly mess? I sure hope so. This is a story of a very naughty crocodile who had been running outside of the law and making his own rules up for years. This outlaw reptile had been playing cat and mouse with the Australian authorities until they were really quite cross about it. The 1,300-pound monster croc had been on the run for a full 8 years since it was first spotted being a menace to society in the outback town of Katherine all the way back in 2010. The croc-catching officials had tried quite in vain to track and catch this 15-foot 2-inch crocodile. It's estimated to be around 60 years old and had successfully eluded capture for so long that the wildlife officers in charge of its capture had actually come to admire the tenacity of the animal. The chase became something of a legend in the local community, with tales of near captures and the crocodile's uncanny ability to evade traps. Some locals even started referring to him as Catherine's phantom, highlighting his almost mythical status. Wildlife officers tried a variety of strategies, including baited traps and night patrols, but the wily croc always seemed one step ahead. When he was finally captured, it took an enormous team effort, including cranes and reinforced ropes, to safely transport him. In the end, the law-breaking days of this reptile did catch up with it, and he was eventually captured and taken to a crocodile farm so he couldn't menace any more people. The croc remains the biggest that they've ever captured and removed from the Katherine River. I just hope that they at least gave him a certificate. Number 4. Resal Palawan crocodile. Now, if you find a really big crocodile, it seems that it's customary to capture it and relocate it. Never mind if it happens to have a family, a mortgage to pay, or, a job or something. People everywhere just seem to say, well, that's a mighty big crocodile. Looks difficult to move. Let's move it. Logic-defying perhaps, but this is definitely a trend in croc encounters. So here we are with yet another massive crocodile. This time, it seems to have been hunted down by some people with a very nasty-looking pointy stick and then wrestled and wrapped up before being winched onto all kinds of transportation that you care to think of. These relocations are often touted as necessary to ensure the safety of local communities, especially when such crocodiles begin to encroach on human habitats. However, conservationists argue that relocating a crocodile of this size can disrupt entire ecosystems, as these apex predators often play critical roles in their natural environments. The process of relocation itself is no small feat, involving a team of skilled handlers and heavy machinery to ensure both the safety of the animal and the humans involved. Many such crocodiles, like this one, end up in protected sanctuaries where they can live out their days without the threat of human interference, or humans, for that matter, interfering with them. And then it was relocated, or rather exiled, to the furthest reaches of the Philippines. I just hope that very bad crocodile has learned its lesson. Let's all wag a finger at it. Number 3. Maximus, the giant crocodile lives in the Ord River. With a name like Maximus, this crocodile was bound to be a biggie. Yet another inhabitant of the Ord River in Western Australia, this big-boned beast was estimated to measure between 19 and 23 feet, which is absurdly large. If you wonder just how they go about measuring these big scary animals, then this one is a great example. They don't get out a regular old tape measure and ask it to stand still. Although most crocodiles are quite polite, I'm sure they would oblige to be measured before they eat you. No, they use a laser rangefinder, which, although safer, is a bit more boring and less accurate for the crocodile's pants because, it's tricky to get that inside leg measurement from so far away. Local wildlife experts have been monitoring Maximus for years, noting his dominance over the other crocodiles in the area and how he controls prime riverfront territory. Fishermen have shared stories about spotting him lurking near their boats, his massive shadow enough to make them pack up for the day. Maximus is believed to have survived multiple territorial battles, given the scars across his thick, armored hide. His diet, unsurprisingly, consists of anything that dares to venture too close: kangaroos, fish, and even the occasional unwary feral pig. Despite his fearsome reputation, Maximus has become something of a local legend, with tourists flocking to the area in hopes of catching a glimpse of the river's undisputed king. Anyway, given the insane numbers that these measurements have revealed, there are many people who now believe that Maximus is the largest crocodile in the whole world, and he looks pretty happy about it as well. Number 2. Aussie Rapids huge crocodile. This guy took footage that was apparently him fishing from a helicopter, as one does, of course, when he spotted an absolute monster of a crocodile. Yes, that word monster is likely going to get slung around quite a lot here today. Sorry about that. But when you're dealing with the largest crocodiles in the world, there are only so many superlatives that will match the scale of these things. Matt Wright was the so-called Outback Wrangler with the helicopter who filmed this massive beast as it made its way through the rapids in the wild northern territory of Australia. The sheer size of the crocodile was staggering, with estimates suggesting it could easily be over 18 feet long. Wright explained that these massive reptiles can live for decades, growing larger and more territorial as they age. The crocodile was likely on the hunt, showcasing its raw power as it effortlessly moved against the strong currents of the rapids. He even noted how its coloration blended perfectly with the murky water, making it nearly invisible to the untrained eye. Wright emphasized that these creatures are apex predators, capable of ambushing prey with lightning speed despite their seemingly sluggish movements. Wright would be fishing for barramundi when he saw the colossal creature, and he was sage enough to warn his viewers that there are always a lot of crocodiles out and about at that time of year. They can be found wherever there's water, like this mammoth one in the freshwater rapids. So he said to make sure to be careful and to be croc-wise, whatever that might mean. Well, thanks, Matt. We would all be smooching on crocs without you. Number 1. Lolong, the world's largest crocodile found in the Philippines. And finally, we finish here with a poor dead crocodile. Lolong was a very famous and very large reptile who was best known for being, wait for it, the largest crocodile in captivity. Now, I know there are just so many, but this one really did hold that title. And now he's just the longest dead crocodile in captivity, and that's not really that much of a fun title to hold. Anyways, during his heyday of being alive, Lolong, a saltwater croc, measured a staggering 20 feet 3 inches, which is, I'm sure you're aware, very large indeed. That is the official measurement that's been taken from snout to tail by an Australian crocodile expert named Adam Britton. Britton, who worked for National Geographic, was able to take this accurate measurement by sedating the monster croc and getting up close and personal. It was confirmed that Lolong was indeed the largest crocodile ever caught and placed into captivity. So that's a relief, finally, something we can rely on. Except, obviously, the title is apparently up for grabs again, and there are several contenders vying for that big prize. Lolong died back in February of 2013 from an unpleasant-sounding combination of pneumonia and cardiac arrest. So long, Lolong. May you remain forever the biggest. Thanks for joining me on this fascinating journey through the world of giant crocodiles. Who knew these massive reptiles could get so big and show off such a variety of personalities? Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and let's sink our teeth into a lively discussion. Don't forget to check out the other cool videos on the screen, and I'll see you next time.